Welcome to Evolving Into Her. I'm Ashley Hope, and this is your weekly check-in to get out of your head, into your body, and back into alignment with the version of you who's already living the vision. So grab your favorite cup of tea, settle in, and let's get into the show. Hey, welcome back to Evolving Into Her. I am your host, Ashley Hope, and if you're new around here, hello, welcome. I'm so glad you found this space. Here's what we do over here. We have real conversation. Okay. We talk about identity. We talk about mindset. We talk about subconscious patterns that are quietly running your life. And we do it while building the most expansive, juicy, fulfilling life you can imagine. And we get practical, we get deep, we have fun, and we do not do surface level. So if this is your first episode, baby, you are in for a treat. You are going to love it here. Hit subscribe, hit follow while you're at it. And quick update about 75 Her. We have a new start date. So we're now officially kicking off on Monday, April 6th. And honestly, I think the timing is even better than what we originally planned for. And we're going to end up wrapping up right before the summer solstice. So I really want you to sit with that for a second, really think about that. Think about the woman you want to be walking into summer 2026. How does she carry herself? What does her life look like? What does her reality feel like? That is who and what we are building inside this container. And this is year 2 for me. And I will tell you, last year, your girl quantum leaped. I collapsed timelines in ways that I'm still unpacking to this day. And this round, I'm going in even more intentional. I have been thinking about the woman I am becoming, my next level self. I have been priming my nervous system to match her reality, getting my mind and my body ready to not just reach this next level, but to actually sustain it. And I'm so grateful that I get to facilitate that same experience for the women who are in the room. We do this once a year. That's it. There are no replays. There's no way to purchase it after and do it on your own. So if you miss this round, baby, you're going to have to wait till spring of next year. Okay. So if something in you is already saying yes, trust that instinct. The link to join is in the show notes, or you can head to www.ashleyhope.co. We start on April 6th. So excited to have you in the room. And now, if this show has ever made you stop mid-walk, stop to write down notes, you send an episode to your group chat, go leave a review right now. Not after this episode, right now. Hit pause. We're going to wait for you. And this review on Apple Podcasts, preferably, because Spotify, you can't leave written reviews yet. But this review is how the woman who needs this show actually finds it. So do it for her, pay it forward. Thank you in advance. Okay, friends, so let's get into today's topic. Today, we are talking about the power of making a decision. And more specifically, the idea that you do not need a feeling, you don't need a sign, you don't need these angel numbers, the big breakthrough, or a perfectly aligned season to become a completely different person. Baby, you just need to decide and stand on your decision. And I want to talk about what that actually means because I think this one is going to stay with you. It's a very simple concept, but in my experience, the simple concepts hit the hardest. Like, you don't always need some complex strategy. Like, a lot of times you can change the trajectory of your life by implementing the very simple, practical things. So I hope that is true for you today. I hope that you hear something that is life changing for you, even though it's simple. I pray that you allow yourself to receive that. All right, friend, you know the routine. Grab something you can sip slow and let's get into the show. Okay, so I want to dive right in and talk about the lie we were taught about change. And I want to start here because I want you to sit with this because I think it's at the root of why so many of us stay stuck longer than we need to, longer than what's necessary. And it's because we've been taught this lie about transformation. We've been taught that change is this long, arduous, slow, painful, earned process. that you have to go through something traumatic, that you have to hit a wall or have a breakdown or reach some kind of rock bottom before you're allowed to become someone new. Almost as if you have to earn your becoming. Like it has to hurt enough first. You got to feel it deeply enough, process it thoroughly enough, heal completely enough. And then, like maybe then you can step into the next version of yourself. And so we wait. We wait to feel ready. We wait for the fear to go away. We wait for the clarity to arrive. We wait for the right season, the right sign, the right moment where everything lines up just perfectly and we just know. And in the meantime, we stay exactly where we are and we call it discernment. We call it doing the work. When in reality, we're just waiting. That's all we're doing. We're just waiting. And sis, that waiting is costing you. Because what I know for sure in my Oprah voice is that it is highly unlikely that you're going to feel ready before you make the move. That is not usually how it works. Readiness is not something that shows up first and then you go. Readiness is what you feel on the other side of going, on the other side of taking the step. So the confidence, the clarity, the feeling of being her, being your next level self, the woman God called you to be, all of that comes after the decision, not before it. So if you've been waiting to feel ready, you've been waiting to feel clear, you've been waiting to feel like her before you act like her, baby, you're going to be waiting for a long time because that is not the order. The decision comes first and then everything else follows. And that brings me to two of the most powerful words I think any woman can say about herself or her life. I decided. That's it. Two words. And I want you to feel the difference between those two words and everything else we usually say when we're saying, I'm trying, I'm working on it, I'm getting there one day, soon, eventually, I'm really focusing on that right now, I'm about to, versus I decided. Do you feel the difference in that, the power in that? Because intention and decision are not the same thing. So, an intention is something you hold out in front of you and it lives in the future. It's something you're moving towards. It's something you hope happens. It's something that's still conditional on how you feel or what comes up or whether the timing works out. But a decision is something you make right now in your body. It's a line you draw. It is a moment where you say, everything before this was then, and everything from here is now. And it is so. And it's not contingent on a feeling, it's not waiting on circumstances. It is made and then it is done. Okay? I decided I am no longer that woman. I decided I am done shrinking. I decided that pattern is not mine anymore. I decided I am someone who follows through. I decided that I'm not dealing with that man anymore. I decided I am someone who wins. And so say those out loud. Seriously, you can say them or say whatever resonates for you and just notice how it feels in your body because they don't feel like wishes. They feel like facts. They feel like it is what it is. They feel like declarations. And that is exactly what they become when you actually mean them. And friends, that is what collapsing a timeline looks like. You stop waiting for your life to slowly catch up to the vision, and baby, you step into it with both feet, 10 toes in. You decide that the woman you're becoming is not someone you are building towards, you're working towards. She is someone you are choosing right now. And I know what some of y'all are already thinking. You're probably like, okay, Ashley, that sounds good, but what about the healing? What about the patterns? What about all the subconscious work? And friend, I hear you. So I do want to touch on that for a bit because you know I'm not saying throw out the work. This entire podcast is about doing the work. So I'm not going to tell y'all not to do the work because then your girl is going to be out of work. Okay. But y'all know I'm a mindset coach, certified hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, master energy healing. I do this for a living. I facilitate the work for a living. I do subconscious programming and rewiring for a living. I'm not about to tell you that the inner work does not matter. It absolutely does. But here's what I've watched happen over and over again. One with clients, but honestly in my own life too. Baby, you can do all the journaling, all the therapy, all the tapping, all the somatic work. You can consume every podcast, every book, every course, watch all the YouTube videos, and still be in the same place a year later, still circling, still almost, still saying, I'm working on it. I'm working through this. I'm healing these blocks. And that's because the work without the decision is just information. And it keeps you exploring instead of integrating. It keeps you in the process of healing as a way of staying comfortable instead of actually moving forward. And I say this with so much love because I have been there, using the work as a reason not to go yet, as a reason not to hit the gas. Like, once I figure this out fully, once I've healed this completely, once I feel totally ready, then I'll move. But baby, the decision is what activates the work. Okay? The decision is what gives it direction. When you decide first, when you draw that line and you say, I am her now. This is who I am. This is what I experience. When you make that decision, the work stops being something you do to get somewhere and it starts being something that supports you where you already have chosen to go. So, yes, do the work. I'm a huge advocate for it. Keep doing the work, but decide first. Okay. Decide who you are and then let everything else fall in line with that. And I'm not just saying this from a place of theory either. Y'all know many of the things that I talk about on this podcast, I have lived it. And I can tell you firsthand that there is so much power behind the words, I've decided. And I'm going to be honest, I have made many decisions in my life that from the outside probably look a little reckless to most people. But from the inside, they were the most intentional things I have ever done. One of my favorite stories to tell, I think about leaving corporate America, and there was no perfect moment for that. There was no point where it felt completely safe or that the path was completely clear. There was just this moment where I said, this is not my life, and I'm done pretending it is. And I decided. And that decision gave me the last 7 years of my life. Everything I have built, every woman I've gotten to sit with and do this work with, every moment of freedom I get to move in, all of it traces back to that one decision I made before I was ready. And I think about walking away from a relationship that was quote unquote good enough. And the moment I decided this is not what I want anymore, I'm no longer available for this. This relationship is draining me. I do not feel fulfilled here. I do not feel happy here. I do not like the trajectory that this relationship is on. So I decided this is not for me anymore. And subsequently, I made room for the love of my life. A love I genuinely didn't even know was possible because I'd never given myself permission to want it. And one decision changed all of that. I think about when I decided to leave the DMV, to actually pack up my stuff and go, to stop talking about it and to start walking towards the life that I said that I wanted. And that one decision changed the entire trajectory of my life. It cracked open a world I could not have seen from where I was standing. New energy, new relationships, new expansion, things I could not have planned or predicted. Trust me, baby, that one move changed my life. And it was all because I decided. And not one of those moments felt certain. I'm going to tell you, I did not have all the answers. I did not know how it was going to turn out. Every single decision had some fear tied to it. I felt anxious. The voice that said, girl, are you sure? What if this doesn't work out? What are people going to think? And I moved anyway. I decided anyway. And just know it doesn't always have to be a huge, grandiose, life changing decision because sometimes the decision that changes everything is quiet, it's small, it's not dramatic. It doesn't come with a whole announcement or a life overhaul. Sometimes it's just this internal shift when you say, I am done being her, and you mean it. Sometimes it's deciding to become the woman who takes care of herself. Just deciding at the identity level that you are the kind of woman who prioritizes her health. And then you live from that identity. Sometimes it's deciding to pray bolder, to stop bringing God the safe, already within reach version of what you want and actually ask for what you really want. To stop editing your prayers down to what feels realistic and to trust that He can handle the real ask. Girl, what you want, what you're praying for, That is a small thing to a giant. Do you know the God you serve? The one that could part seas, that can move mountains. Girl, you better start praying bigger and believing bigger, and you better act like you know, okay? And for some of you, you need to just decide to think bigger, to give yourself permission to actually want what you want without talking yourself out of it before you even finish the thought, to stop capping your vision at what feels responsible, what feels attainable. And here's why those decisions matter, even when they feel small. Girl, all of those small decisions compound. Each one builds on the last because when you decide who you are being, when you lock in the identity of the woman you're becoming, everything around you starts to reorganize itself around her. So your choices are going to change. What you say yes to changes. What you walk away from changes. What you tolerate changes. Your standards change. Your life changes. And it all starts with one decision that probably nobody even saw you make. And I want to talk about the woman on the other side of your decision, on the other side of your yes, the woman you're evolving into, the woman God created you to be, because I don't want you to treat her like she's far away. She is not at the end of a long road and you haven't started walking yet. She is not waiting on the other side of more time and more healing and more readiness. Girl, she's in you right now. She's always been in you. And you can probably feel her. Like, think about the moments when you catch a glimpse of what your life could look like. It's kind of like this knowing that you were built for more than what you're currently living. And it's this magnetic, kind of energetic pull towards the thing you keep almost doing. Friend, that is her. Okay. It's not a fantasy. It's not some made up being. That is the most real version of you trying to come through. She is the woman who does not wait for permission. She is the woman who trusts herself to move before she has all the answers. She's the woman who looks at old patterns and says, that was then, but this is now. And she means it and she stands on business. She's the woman who decided. And every single time you make that kind of decision, every time you choose her over the version of yourself that's comfortable, that loves to stay in what's familiar, that loves to stay in what's safe, you are aligning with her. You're allowing her to be fully expressed. She was always in there. But when you decide, you just stop standing in her way. And thus you get out of your own way. And she's been very patient. She has been in there through every almost, every not yet, every one day. And she is ready. She is so ready. And the only question is whether you are ready to stop making her wait. And before we close out, I want to ask you something. What is the self-sabotaging identity you're ready to put down? Not slowly work through over the next year, not circle back to when you feel more ready. Like today, we're putting it down right now and just decide it's not yours anymore. What's the pattern or the story or the version of yourself that you've been carrying that was never actually you? It was just always familiar. It's always what you did. It's always who you were. And what would change today if you just decided? Not when you feel ready, not when the circumstances shift, not when everyone around you is on board. Today, right now, if you woke up and decided that you were already her, the woman you're becoming, the woman God created you to be, what is the first thing that looks different? Because I think you already know. And actually, I think you've known for a while. You're just waiting on someone to give you permission. Friend, you don't need another sign. You don't need to finish healing before you can move. You don't need the fear to go away first. The life you want is not waiting on the timing to be perfect. It's not waiting on you to be perfect. It is not waiting on something outside of you to shift first. It is waiting on you, on the version of you who decides she is done waiting, who decides she is no longer available for the old patterns, the old stories, the old identity that kept her small and comfortable and stuck. I decided. I want you to say that. I want you to mean it and watch what happens on the other side of it, because many times you're just one decision away from a different life, from a different reality, from a different experience. You have always been one decision away. And that decision is available to you right now, not later when you're ready, if you ever are ready, right now in this moment. Friend, thank you for sticking with me and making it to the end of this episode. I am so proud of you. If this resonated, share it with a friend, a sister, a colleague, somebody who needs to just make a decision. Remember, the doors for 75 Her are still open. You can find the link to join in the show notes or visit my website at ashleyhope.co. My name is Ashley Hope, and until next time, stay in devotion to your becoming. I'll see you next week. I'm Ashley Hope, and you've been listening to Evolving into Her. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for choosing her, for choosing yourself. And until next time, stay in devotion to your becoming.